So I'm just promoting people. Where's Jay Levine when you need him? Is anybody else as glad as I am that we don't have to go to the roundhouse this session?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know whether you read the blog today, but they're planning to surround it with militia
Wow.
all across the country,
what a bunch of weenies.
every state legislature.
Wow.
So it always takes me a minute here to get everybody situated. And hi Meg. I've got an email coming to you, Meg, to see if you can do something for me. I just uploaded all the precinct chairs and ward chairs in Albuquerque, Bernalillo County. And that's a few hundred people. And it was just like right on their work website. And so maybe if you were able to go to other county Democratic parties and do the same and create separate lists, you don't even have to copy and paste, at least with Bernalillo County, you just upload it and it's done. So, and here we got Laura Rydell, enter. Maria Spray. Okay, we'll get started here and I'll just have to pay a little bit of attention to the inbox here. Hello, everybody. Right on the madness out there, I hope people are doing well. I'm expecting north of 25 people today, which is wonderful. And so people can go ahead and use chat to communicate with each other. And by way of update, we are getting an awful lot of people telling me that their chats with Zoominars with senators have gone very well, the ones that have gone forward so far. I can't remember, I don't know if Janet Warner's on or not, but the one with Campos, they commented that, they'd been trying to get him for years to communicate with them. And this was the first time they had been able to do that. And so, and other people have been just saying that this is really working well, the Zooms. And so what I'm going to be asking people to do, if you were part of a Zoom that has already happened with a senator, let us know how it went. And then there's just a couple of things. I don't think coordinators realized we had a form created by Mylin. And it's a form for you to summarize what happened in the in your meeting. And the advantage of that is then we get like uniform kind of information on all the different meetings, instead of it being in an email to me saying, we covered this, that, and the other thing, and this was what went well, and this is where they had some issues and didn't seem to know what was going on. And so a whole slew of people are starting to come on now. And so I want to share, I'm going to share the screen and show you that, and then I will share it with all of the coordinators on this call so that as we go forward, we can use it. And if you look at it and you were the person who was either recording notes or not, but you took notes and you have a good idea. If there was a way for you to then just enter it into the form, then we would be able to, have that information in a uniform way. I think one of the things, just to be 100% honest, this is a new initiative for Retake to try and do this. There's a lot of moving parts, and Roxanne and I are sort of the center on this, and it's kind of hard. I mean, we're dropping the ball in some pretty small ways, But that was one of the things. You know, it would have been really handy if all of the coordinators, before they entered the Zoom room the first time with the senator, had this in front of them and went, oh, this is easy, because it's very good form. And so it just makes it very simple for you to add exactly what transpired, identify in one place the places where there were issues with where the senator didn't seem to understand a bill or whatnot. And so I will share that with everybody, and we can use it going forward. We have quite a few new, and also just in the next blog I do tomorrow, a lot of my blog schedule for this week got kind of screwed up because of what happened in Washington. And so I should post the information about like where you can find out about new Zoom meetings. But I would ask that anybody who's a coordinator, and when you have a date set and a Zoom invite set, please send me date, time, and the Zoom invite. And I can put that on our homepage page. And then when people, you know, in a blog, I'll say, you know, this is something we're doing, and here is a page, click here, and you can see if there's a Zoom meeting being scheduled in your community, in your district soon. And so it'd be a good way to show that that is going on. We also had, and Christy Holder is on here. I know I saw her come in. She, in their district, I got a note from one of the coordinators there, and Marge, and she said that actually Bobby Gonzalez, and they had like 72 people on their Zoom meeting. Bobby Gonzalez has been speaking to the caucus about how great the Retake Zoom conferences are, and that they should all really, you know, try and participate. So it's, you know, given that this is the first year we've done it, you guys are pioneers. And I can imagine this really building into a really effective tool going forward, because you're also developing relationships with these legislators. I would also ask, you know, hearing that there were 72 people on the Zoom, when you do a Zoom, you have, I think that was Meg, so I muted her. When you do a Zoom, you get the email addresses for everybody who registered. And so I think it's a good idea, if you could, to share that with us so we can add them to our roster for that district. Because then we can, when the alerts start in the session, they'll get emails that say, you know, Bobby Gonzalez is going to be hearing this bill tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And here is the speaking points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to make sure people have that information. So that's two of the things that I wanted to mention. I see, Susan, did you have your hand up to ask a question? Susan McGrew? No, okay. So is there any conversation or thoughts about why it might not be a good idea to both use the form and share the contacts so that we can get them into our network spreadsheet? Any thoughts on that? It just seems like a good idea. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. Somebody has a comment? Susan.
Yeah, it's
Sarah.
well, Sarah Manning. I am leery about just automatically giving someone's email address to an organization without their permission.
Then could I, and I think that's a legitimate thing. Then it would be good if during these Zooms and in your community, you know, you put in chat, if you want to be kept in the loop on the legislature, here's the link to sign up. And I'll make sure and get that shared out to everybody. Does that then make sense? Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so Meg, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. Laura and I had a Zoom meeting with 6 other people, and Liz Stefanik's this morning went great. It was just better than I could have hoped, actually. It was really excellent. She told us all kinds of stuff. And I recorded it, so we have a recording of it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have a forum.
That's one of the things we definitely need to do is figure out an easy way so that I can load the recordings onto our YouTube station. Because, you know, some of these, you know, people, first of all, people in the district who didn't participate may very well want to go and see what their legislator said. They just camera shy or something, or busy that day. And so I had Jonigan, and I don't know if that's how he pronounces his name. I apologize. I don't think he's on this call because he's not a coordinator, so he wouldn't be. I'm going to try and get back to him because he knows how to do it. And he sent me the one of the videos, but it was such a large file that it crashed when I tried to upload it. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we have Zoominars now scheduled with Peter Worth and Brian Egolf for the same day, 1:30 with Brian Egolf and 5 to 6 with Worth. Egolf only had a half hour. And we've got teams working on that. We'll probably have 50 on each call. And so that's, and there we're not so much going to be focusing on, and this is something for all of you to consider. You know, I wouldn't spend a bunch of time talking to your legislator about, oh, Chrissy's going to get mad at me again, on abortion decriminalization. That is gonna pass. And you don't want him to talk for like 5 minutes about that and then not get to the issues where there's significant controversy or any controversy or concerns. So, and Christy, did you have a comment?
Yes, I'm not mad at you. The way we dealt with that question, because we had already had a pre-meeting with the senator and we knew his position was favorable. So we put that question in our lightning round of yes and no answers. So that the other people, the other 70 people would know his position.
That's
so
a great idea about the lightning round.
There are a couple more things. Margie took the time to learn how to do the polling. And after we broke ours into 4 segments, 3 issue segments, I think they were environment, taxation and revenue, and the other one was benefits, so like paid sick leave and those kinds of things. And then the last one was the lightning round, and each one was 15 minutes. At the end of each of those segments, Margie had prepared a poll. And if you're not familiar with those, I wouldn't spend a lot of time if your deadline is coming up quickly, but the senator was so impressed because we had the results for all 70 people within 30 seconds, and he could go, oh my goodness, 80% of you are in favor of recreational marijuana. Now, of course, we're a pre-selected audience of progressives, but he was stunned by how rapid those polls were and how many people supported the different issues that we were bringing up. That's
okay. So this
one last point is we have a town hall scheduled on Wednesday coming up with Susan Herrera and our new state rep, Christina Ortiz. So you don't have to just stick with your senators if you get really carried away by this.
Yeah. And I think that the next year we will go to developing chapters or teams for both Senate and House. It was just,
sure.
I don't know how I could have possibly done that this year, but by next time, I'm imagining some of you will step up and say, I'll coordinate the House teams. And somebody else may say, I'll coordinate the Senate teams. And then all of a sudden it's off of our plate. And just, this is a preview. I don't know for sure, but I mean, we talked about it with Christy because she's on our board. Retake after the session is going to take a serious look at forming a 501c3. getting grants and hiring an administrator. Because it would really help us in terms of being, and part of that will also be to ask for membership. And so after the session, or maybe during the session, we're going to ask people like you, everybody out there, some of you do this, but can you make a $5, $10, $20 a month donation? And if we get enough response to that, we'll be in a position to go to foundations and say, look at this groundswell of people and how many people are engaged in this work. And this is what we want to do. And we've had foundations approach us and ask us to form a 501c3 because they have donors who want to make major gifts to it for what we're doing. So that's coming. But for right now, let's just stick with this. I also just wanted to make sure people knew about the the Bernalillo County legislative, it's not forum.
Expo.
Expo, thank you. It's tomorrow from 9 to 12:30. And Retake has a room there. I would strongly recommend you not go to our room. I actually expect to be there with Roxanne and our cat and nobody else, because the list of rooms that are available to go to and meet with people about specific bills, and in the beginning part of the expo is tremendous. And then they have 6 breakouts with legislators. Each legislative breakout has like 6 or 8 Democrats in it, where you can find out about environment, different issues, tax. I can't remember what the different issues are, but if you want to sign up for doing that, it was in today's blog. And so it's just really easy to get there and click on that. Other questions that people have or comments in terms of how, especially from people who may have been participants in a Zoom already, and just tell us how it went and what to watch out for and things like that. Anybody? I'm on page 2. Got to go back now to page 1. Anybody got a? Oh, I see Karen Keeney. Go ahead, Karen.
Hey, Paul, I might have missed this, but do you want as many of us as possible in these meetings with Peter Worth and Brian Egolf? And if so, what day is it?
It's on the website, and the Zoom links will be up there tonight. We're having a meeting tomorrow. Laura Rydell is on. She's on this call. She's part of a smaller team of constituents of Egolf. David Thompson is kind of heading that up for us. And they're going to we're going to meet and talk about, and that will be one of the things on our agenda. There are arguments both ways. And I think that while we would only want constituents to ask questions and make comments, I don't think it's necessarily inappropriate for others to be on, because this is leadership, you know, and they have an outsized impact on what gets done there, and it doesn't just impact their constituents. But I'm getting a little bit better. It's not easy, but a little bit better at distributive leadership and asking other people to provide input on that kind of thing and make that decision, rather than Roxanne and I just going like, yeah, let's invite everybody for that, and then we'll just only allow the constituents to ask questions. I don't think it's a good idea for just general groups. I think if you've got 70 people from who are constituents, that's remarkable. But if you've got 6 or 8, that's also fine. You're establishing a relationship with the legislator. I see Kelly Orndorff's hand up, and Dorf.
Yes, we had our meeting with Pete Campos and it went amazingly well. We had some people that were pretty angry at him to start with, but we built a rapport. And I think we have a really good relationship with him now. He called me after the meeting a couple times. He called Tom, who chaired our meeting for us. And he wants us to be kind of the point people to trade information back and forth with. And the only issue we did not agree with him on was the abortion issue. He voted no against it. But even that, I felt like he was leaning a little bit. So that's good to know that that's not an issue we need to fight with him about, but he's very, very willing to work with us, which was surprising because a lot of people were resistant to him. And I think it went really, really well. We had about 30 people on our call and a bunch of different groups represented, and which is huge for us in this rural area. And we built relationships with other towns like Las Vegas, New Mexico, Raton. He has a huge area, just absolutely huge. So it's hard to build that power. And we are starting to get to know each other. So
I don't know if anybody's tried this, but there's a college out there in Las Vegas with a lot of students. And one of the leaders of Yucca, Bianca, the head of Earth Care, which formed Yucca, her husband teaches there. And I've never been able to figure, I haven't followed up methodically to try and get him to do some recruitment. But I'm sure there are people in Las Vegas who know people at that university. That would be one way to get, a significant number of folks who would probably be interested in what we're trying to do here.
that's a great idea. I can ask the couple people that I now know from Las Vegas if they know anybody at the university there that they could reach out to.
Well,
So
there are actually two schools there. One is Highlands University and the other is World College.
that's right.
Yeah,
I thought that was a high school. Is that a
it
college?
may be, but
Yeah, World College is a high school.
it's high
it's
school.
mostly high
Thank
school.
you very much. I appreciate it.
And World College is shut down right now. They're not open.
Oh, okay.
But
World
good
College.
suggestions. Thank you.
Christy, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to offer a few more things. Kelly's meeting was excellent. I sat in on that. And what I observed there was Campos said, well, I just want to hear your questions and then I'll respond. So he was very unwilling to commit, but they kept the focus and the energy very positive. Now, when we had our meeting with Bobby Gonzalez the other night, he said, well, I don't know much about methane. So literally the next morning, Albuquerque Journal ran an article on the methane issue. And I sent that to him. And then the next day there was an issue on early child care and the permanent fund, which he opposes taking money from the permanent fund. But I sent him that issue. We're trying to present ourselves as a resource to him. And we're always clear to say, this is one side of the issue, but here. And so we're actively feeding him info. They don't have any staff. They don't have any ability to do this. And
Right.
if we can win that higher ground, it's good for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just completely, I mean, I got to tell you, Wednesday was a brutal day for all of us, but I kept thinking about this group and what it's getting done and the relationships we're establishing. And I just think it's, this is just, we're just getting started, but I think this is going to grow into something where legislators just really look to us for, information and the way it's, it's one thing because quite a few of them read or at least subscribe to the blog, but it's way different to hear from constituents who then hear somebody say, oh, I don't know about that. And then they get an article from the constituent, like you just did, Christy. They're going to look at it because they have a relationship with you. And then they're going to, we're not, and, I'm impressed that we're talking about Campos and Bobby Gonzalez, who are two of the least progressive senators in the Senate. So, it's really important. If we can sway those folks, Jerry Ortiz-Pino doesn't really need to hear from us too much, Are there other comments? I see Athena's hand up. Go ahead, Athena. And then-
Yes, I happened to sit in the Senate District 15 Zoom meeting last night with Senator Ivy Soto. That was very well done by Carl Kaiser and David Easdale and Willie Orr. And I'm trying to think her name was Diane Torres Velasquez. And I liked how they set it up. They actually gave him time to talk about the session and how it's going to happen, which was very informative. And then they went into and described particular bills or areas of bills, public bank, tax and revenue, permanent fund. What was most important and very interesting is at the very end, even though he didn't really say he was for or against certain things, that he invited them to do another Zoom meeting, a third to a halfway through the session. So that might be something to add to everybody's idea.
And I just got to tell you that they're offering, because somebody else offered to do that too. I think it was Mimi Stewart. That they're offering to do that is just crazy. I mean, at the legislature during regular sessions, if you can grab a guy for a 5-second conversation in the hallway, you've made a major achievement. By the way, I'm looking away, but I'm not looking away from the camera. I guess I am looking away from the camera. I'm looking at my wide screen. I'm not doing something else, but it's much easier to see the span of people up there. So I didn't want you to think I wasn't paying attention. So this is great stuff, great stuff. Sandy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, a couple of things. So I would absolutely agree with you that it's great to have the folks who are the players in their district do the talking and the interacting with the senators. However, I really disagree with you about not inviting other people. And I would say that you know, to the point of showing our connection to every part of the state, and that I think that they love seeing so many people on a call. Their message is resonating as much as ours is, and I think that that's I think that would be a missed opportunity, and perhaps maybe leave it up to the coordinators on how they feel about it, as opposed to any hard and fast rule.
You know, I just had a thought. It's merging. This is why these meetings on Friday afternoons are so important. In Gonzales district, they used a poll. We could very easily put in a poll during the chat saying, are you a constituent in Senate District 25? Or, you know, put in here where you are, who your senator is, or who your legislator is. And then, you know, eGolf or Worth, whoever we're talking with, would appreciate, okay, I've got like 37 or 57 or 12 constituents, but these guys have got people, because Worth and eGolf were blown away by having over 300 people, almost I think it was 360 on the Zoom on December 1st, when we had Stewart on too. It was like, you know, whoa. And so I think there is merit to that. And I really like the idea of using the poll for other purposes, like support for specific bills. I think we will definitely do that. And it might be, would it be a good idea for us to try and figure out how to do it and then share the step-by-step, this is how you do it kind of thing? I mean, we could do something right now. Polls. Add a question. This will just take a second. Let's just, I should share screen. I'm going to share the screen here for a second. So I just clicked on poll. Now it says add a question, and then actually it already did that. So you just add in the question, what is your Senate district? And then, you know, single choice. Oh, I see what you see. This is where you put it. Learn while doing. And then I guess you don't want to leave all that. You just want to have a single response, right? Clearly need to work on this. Don't want to do it and waste your time on a Friday afternoon. But it wouldn't be very hard to do some screenshots, and you know, then you click here, and this is how you make it so that because ideally it'd be good if you could put, for instance, a number there. But we'll tinker with that. But and Athena, you're nodding your head. Do you know how to do this kind of stuff?
Yeah, but I can't show you. You'd have to, I could walk you through it.
Right, but maybe we could do that either over the weekend. I know you're not doing anything on Saturday.
No, not at all.
We have a full week, a full day of Zooms on Saturday. Saturday and Sunday we used to preserve for us, but Saturday is all Zoom. Sandy, you had your hand up, and then Athena, you might have had your hand up for a different reason.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so Sandy first, and then Athena.
No,
No.
I asked my question.
Okay, Athena.
Made my comment. Sorry.
Same thing I asked.
Okay. So, are there other people who have comments, thoughts? Does everybody on this call know who their coordinator is?
Looks like Kathy Wooten has a question.
Oh, thank you. I'm scrolling
Or at
back and
least
forth, but where's Kathy now?
She raised her hand.
All right, just go ahead and unmute. Kathy.
Hopefully you can hear me. I think I just unmuted myself.
Yes, you did.
I just didn't want to get away from the meeting without actually us getting so interested in everything that's being said that we don't actually get that share screen for the form that you say is so great for us to be able to use. So I
Excellent.
just wanted to make sure we didn't go over that because I'm desperately looking for it.
Okay. So I'm going to exit full screen so I can use my computer, and I'll go to here. And I think all coordinators have been given the, hold on a second, I can't, I used to be able to do two things at once, but that was a while ago. And I can't find it on the district thing.
Paul, when you think about it, give me a, you've got a bunch of people as attendees. I don't know if you want to make them visual.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. This is too many things to do at
And
once.
so if we don't get to that form, I know I can get back with you on it or something. So let's just go with the flow.
Oh my God, there's 6
No,
people.
I think. Hold
Hold
on,
on a second,
see
folks.
what I can do.
They're probably gone. Who knows how long they sat there?
Kathy, do
Maybe
you
they
know
can hear.
what is your district? And I can look that up for you.
What's that?
I can look up the coordinator for Kathy.
Oh,
Kathy is-
I think I'm the coordinator by default,
Okay.
Sandy, for District 36. So
I'll
you can see that
send,
District 36 is going to need some help.
I
Okay.
You are right. It is you.
I compiled a list of all the coordinators. I will share the form with all the coordinators as soon as I get off this. Welcome the new people. I apologize. We got kind of into conversation, and then people piled up in the waiting room. Somebody raised their hand. Robert Baruti.
I'm just curious, is there any way to get to legislators before or during the session? I know it sounds very analog, written materials, actually a sheet of paper, given that the Roundhouse is closed and, other than snail mail, which.
Well, part of what we're going to be doing is, we did this in all the sessions in the past, all 4 of them that we've been part of. This will be the 5th, is we send 1-pagers on every bill to every legislator when they're not just randomly before they're going to go into a committee hearing, but those
Is this through regular mail?
through email. And then
Yeah,
I don't know what the, there used to be a format when you went to the Roundhouse that you would go to the secretary for the committee and give them 15 or however many 1-pagers, and they would then distribute it to the legislators in their folder for the hearing. And they would.
Yeah, I remember you doing that, and I wonder if I know it's maybe it's archaic, but I also feel, having a printed page, at least that they can refer to, might be a good thing, something physical. in their
Yeah,
hands.
if there's a way, I mean, I don't think they've gotten down to that level of detail at this point, in terms of how this is going to play out. But that would be a very good thing for us to be able to do. And we don't know right now, other than just sending an email to all of the legislators who are going to be on the committee. We don't know how we're going to do that, in terms of getting that one pager in front of them. And that's a good question. We could ask somebody from Legislative Services and find out if there's going to be a mechanism for doing that, because we're not the only ones that did it. Other organizations did it as well. Other questions or comments?
Excuse me, Paul, it's Kathy Wooten again. Those one pagers you just referred to, they don't get created until the bill is actually written and you have the actual verbiage of the bill. Is that correct?
No, we have, I think, 12 of the one pagers done because we were able to work from either with our sponsors or others. Now that may change a little bit as they're introduced. We have a small team, Laura Rydell, who's on the call, and Michael Spurberg McQueen, who I don't think is, who are reviewing every bill as they come through right now. And so we're starting to put together an inventory of, where we have this. In the Senate, they still don't have bill numbers. I don't understand the reasoning behind how they're doing this, but you can get to the bills. But in this House, it's the same as always. So Michael Spurberg McQueen is checking out all the bills in the House. And then as they get numbers, we will add that to our website and the one pagers and so forth. And we'll also do a little bit of a crosswalk to make sure that, something didn't change in the bill that makes us want to change some language in the one pager. But that's one of the things that I think was most effective in this campaign so far, because we have those one pagers and we have those summaries for the 15 bills we're most interested in. If we waited until January 4th to start assembling those, we couldn't have been having these conversations in the substantive way we're doing right now with the legislators. And so, they're going to be a little hesitant to commit to something maybe until they see the language of the bill. But, they know what the Health Security Act is. They know what decriminalization of abortion is. They know what legalization of marijuana is. Those things are not mysteries, and they don't need bill numbers to have conversations.
Okay, great. The ones that we already have one pagers on are the ones we can use already.
Yes,
So,
and
okay.
all you do is go to.
Yes, I have them, Paul. I have them.
Okay.
So thank
But
you.
they change every day. We've gotten more information. We're also, I may have promised this to you folks last week, and we haven't had a chance to get to it yet, but we're going to do a Survey Monkey survey of the 5 or 6 lower ranked bills on our 15, and about 6 or 8 of the 28 bills that we think, should one of these get elevated into the other level? Because it's not just a rhetorical nuance that you're a transformation versus a priority bill. Our transformation bills are the ones we will really be, Roxanne will be aggressively sending out alerts about the hearings. The others will have summaries up there, but we're kind of leaving it up to people to be able to figure out, okay, when is the bill getting heard, and so forth. We're not able to do one pagers on 50 bills this year. And so, but there's a couple of bills. One is being withdrawn. The water governance bill is being withdrawn completely. And 1 or 2 of the other bills, as we've gotten to know them better, don't seem all that powerful. And so it's, it's maybe time to move some of the other bills up into the list. And I know there are some people, and we don't want that to be our decision. I know, like, Laura's got a real interest in the Redistricting Act that it has been developed. Some people are really interested in private prison banning private prisons, the fracking bill. And so maybe we move some of those folks, some of those bills up, and maybe we go to 17. Now, they won't be in the survey, but who cares? Meg.
One of the most important things that Liz Stefanik said to us today was that we need to realize that the main things the legislature is going to deal with is the virus and the economy. And she mentioned several things that is just dire, permanent loss of jobs and businesses permanently going out of business. And where all these other things are terribly important. I mean, she's a real environmentalist. She said you're not going to get everything done because they just have to deal with the virus and the economy. But she said there will be room for more things. Some more things will happen. Some important things will happen. But I thought that was really important to know.
Yeah. The other, I had a question for all of you, and maybe we'll try and use a poll. Maybe I'll make Athena, if she's still here, a co-host. And all right, you're a co-host. If you could go in and create a poll that asked people what they thought about this, maybe strongly approved down to strongly disapproved. I don't think anybody would strongly disapprove. But it occurred to me today when I thought about going to the Roundhouse if it was physical this year. And on the 19th, I would have to wade through a throng of militia armed. It just gave me the creeps. And I wondered, this seems to be a time, would it be possible to pass legislation that said within a quarter-mile radius of the Roundhouse, you cannot bear arms, either open carry or concealed? I don't think we need the poll, Athena. Everybody's going like this. I mean,
I was going to say, I can't do it anyways as co-host. I think I'd have to be host probably. Because don't you have to go into where you got it?
Okay.
I just want to make the point that when we were in the gallery, when they were voting on the red flag laws, and there were tons of people in that gallery who were packing. It was appalling and intimidating. And guns do not belong anywhere in our government buildings. And I'm going to start pushing that here in Taos with our county.
Well, that's what I was thinking also. It could be for city councils and county commissions. I mean, it's just not okay. And I don't know if any of you were subscribed to the blog or read the blog right after during the Roundhouse, where I said, there was one of those rallies there where people were terrified going in and out. And I wrote about it, and it got to the Trumpsters, and I should have let them comment, because it would have shown all of us what we're up against. And I mean, I've never had 100 comments on a blog before in my life. And I had over 100 comments, and I just kept deleting them, but they weren't intelligent. They were just saying, fucking this and blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but they were offensive, and they weren't like, let's have a conversation about this. And so, and part of what was really revealed was that they had no sensibility to how intimidating they can be with their guns. We didn't try and do anything. We didn't threaten anybody. But if you were walking by somebody with a retake button on, and they've got a semi-automatic weapon in their hands, doesn't make me feel real good. I don't know. Anyway, other comments or questions from people?
I was just going to say, I think it's a good idea, particularly with government buildings, but it might even be with protesting as well. Because if you have an entire group of people with firearms protesting, that's not a good mix to be in. So just something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened. It's embarrassing that the Congress was not ready for that, or the police were not ready for that and able to stop it. But they're talking about now preventing the inauguration from happening. And, I don't know. They're starting to feel their oats, and it's in the blog today. I said the genie's out of the bottle. These folks are empowered, and they don't even need Trump anymore. And so, on that cheery note, are there other comments or questions that people might have?
Could I ask for some help?
Sandy.
I put it in the chat, but I don't know that everybody saw it. If anybody has Katie Duhig's phone number so that we can contact her, I would appreciate your help if you could.
Okay, I'm not going to try and figure out if I do while we're on, but if I do, I'll send it to you. Linda Halford. Linda, where'd she go? Linda.
You have Karen as well.
All right, well, we'll go to Karen Keeney, and then I'll try and find Linda. Karen?
Hey, I was just wanting to verify. It sounds like you have enough people now to review the bills as they're being dropped, and you don't need other volunteers for that at the moment?
I wouldn't say that. I'm looking at Laura right now. It's not, you got to figure out a way to parse it. I'm going to be asking my Lynn to create a form for that too, so that as you review a bill, it's just real easy. Here's the bill number, sponsor, a few issues about it, a summary, and then it would go into one of those spreadsheets, Google spreadsheets, because then that will all be organized in a coherent way. We know who you are, and we have your contact information. So I will write to Laura and Michael and see whether or not they could use some more help. And now I'm really not seeing Linda Palford anywhere. And she had her hand up. Maybe she got mad and left. Okay, anybody else with a comment or a question? And I purposely leave these meetings as largely unstructured so that you can talk and tell us what, is going on for you and in your teams, and so that you can percolate ideas. So for example, getting that information about polling and how to use it is going to inform all of these going forward. And we're just going to get better and better at doing these activities, these Zoom meetings. And I think it's also very encouraging that some of the legislators have said they want to do this again during the session. Ivy Soto, especially unusual, surprising. Okay, so it's 4:45. It's Friday. Oh wait, Laura Rydell has her hand up.
I have a question on a different topic. Can you give us an update on the survey? What kind of response you've gotten?
We've gotten over 900 people have taken it now. We're going to be sending it out Monday to all of the ward chairs and precinct chairs in Bernalillo County, and that should get us a boost there. The numbers haven't changed in terms of the priorities haven't changed. This is something that I could share with people if we've got a couple minutes. I'm going to exit screen. I can just pull this up and share the screen and just show you the results. Survey Monkey, share screen. Survey Monkey, share. All right, so we're at 903. You can see almost all of them are constituents. Very few of them are legislators. I'm not surprised by that. They're not going to take a survey like this where they don't know, where they stand just yet or what the bills are. This is the breakout by district. It's easier to see here. So you can see which districts, and we now have every single district represented. Oh, no, we don't. There's one down there. Greg Fulfer is the only one. But among Democratic districts, almost, let's take a look at Linda Lopez, because for one reason, yeah, she's only got one. I do not understand that. We have no one who's signed up to be on our team, and it's in Albuquerque. we've got a lot of people. I mean, you can look here, Jerry Ortiz Pino, 68, 35 from Bill O'Neill, 146 from Peter Worth. So anyway, in the House, it also breaks out, and that's probably, one of them, Javier Martinez, he must have sent it out to his constituents because he had, there it is, 70. The only one who had more was Brian Egolf with 73. You can see Andrea Romero and Tara Lujan, they're all like around here in Santa Fe. So we still are too centric that way. This shows you the abortion decree. And we did get 18 Republicans. So that could be why we have 26 strongly opposed. But still, when we get to the ranking, you'll see that abortion decrim is still the #1 ranked altogether. And that number over there sort of tells that, but the ranking does even better. The lower the number, oh no, not the lower number. I don't understand that as well. When the ranking helps, Health Security Act, public banking. So now we're starting to see a drop off in the total number of absolute top priority, very strongly support. That's under 100. And then let's see, we're on local choice energy. You also start to see, as we get into the energy bills, a drop off in people strongly opposed and stuff. Well, I shouldn't have said that. Green Amendment, 30 strongly opposed. Permanent Fund, very strong support. Comprehensive tax reform, very strong support. Working families tax credit. Gas and oil bonding, this is one that's going to be removed. They're not submitting it this year. This is another one that will not be on the list any longer because it's not being submitted. Paid sick leave, very strong support. It's actually a little more interesting to take a look. Well, that's weird. Oh, I guess the bar is just not working, or it's so low. But there's very little opposition, but it's also not as strongly supported as some things. Energy Transition Act amendments. And by the way, next week there's going to be, and we'll put this in our blog tomorrow, there's going to be a session hosted by Yucca, New Energy Economy, Retake, Global, Wild Earth Guardians, and there might be one other group in there on the Energy Transition Act with legislators. Marijuana legalization, very strong, but with some strong opposition, but not many. And food and sovereignty. But here's where you really start getting things, and this is in the ranking, because there you had to, you could put strongly support everything, right? The number over here, and my cursor's over here on the right, is a weighted average for all of this. And the lower the number, the higher the ranking. And these appear in order of support. So Abortion Decrim and Health Security Act, and you can see they've got, the jump from 288 to 305 is not very great. So they're really clumped together closely. Over here, then these two are clumped closely, but there's a reasonable drop off there between Permanent Fund for Early Childhood and the Green Amendment. So in terms of just like absolute priorities, Abortion Decrim and Health Security Act are at the top, reasonably closely followed by these two, Green Amendment and Permanent Fund, and then marijuana legalization, and the state bank is right up there, and tax reform. Tax reform was near the bottom in the beginning of this, and it has moved up. I don't know who has been tax reforming advocate of the year, but that's been moving up. Local choice energy. And the thing that's really surprised me is the small loan cap is just near the bottom. It's such an abhorrent, I bet Meg Meltz, if she's still on the call, is screaming. And then this is the breakout of 15 Republicans and 37 declined to state, and 10 people who aren't registered, which is sort of, I'm always surprised that there are even any people who aren't registered. So this is how many people are very active in local elections or somewhat active, not very active. Very few people not active at all. Same with legislative, a bit more. If you see, there's a bit more in the election than in the advocacy for at the legislature. And now this is really one of the reasons we want to get this survey out more broadly. We had 530 people say they wanted to be kept informed, and how many of them? 513 of them gave us their email addresses. Now, some of those are people who are already on our list, but not all of them by any means. And the value of getting this out to people like through the ward chairs or through a church group or anything like that is that then we're getting outside of our group, and we'll have, and that gives us all that much more power. That's the survey. There's nothing more than that. There we go. So any other, I'm going to stop the share so I can see if people have other comments. Maybe this generates a couple of comments and questions. Yes, Charles Gregory first. You got to unmute. You got to unmute. There you go.
Oil and gas bonding increase and the Water Governance Reform Acts, are those the only two bills now that you know are not going forward?
Yeah, of the bills that are in our top 15.
Right.
Those are the only two that we know. And there's still some chance that the bonding will be introduced, but there's some study that they're trying to get complete, and they know it's not going to be done. It's not done yet, and they just don't want to do this and not have it inform the decision making. Other comments? Were there any surprises there for anybody? Oh, I didn't say where to get the form for the meetings. Well, I guess I did. Oh, wait, here's yet another person wanting to get into the meeting, Marjorie. I will be sending it to everyone who's a coordinator. And then we're also going to create a form, and I'm glad this came up as a question because I'm hoping some of you will want to do this. I know I see Greg Corning here, Laura, Meg Meltz. There are a number of people here on the screen that I see, Christy, who would come to the Roundhouse periodically and take forms and make notes on what happened during a meeting, a committee hearing. And we're going to create an online form like we did for signing up for the Senate district teams, where it'll be and what we did for taking notes on the Zoom conversations, for people to take notes on the what happened in the hearings. And you'll be able to put down who voted yes, who voted no, what were some arguments against the bill. That's probably the most important information for us. What were the arguments, the counter arguments? Because what we want to do as the session moves past the first committee hearings for bills, our one-pagers change. And one of the things that they say is, you are going to hear that, and then blah, 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 blah. And then right under it, in reality, the counter argument. So that as they're sitting there and listening to some Republican, or in some cases a centrist Democrat, ask questions or show concerns, they can look down and see, oh, okay, yeah, now I'm okay with these guys are just wrong. And so that's a function of what we do. Linda Hinckley, just unmute yourself and speak up.
I have a question in terms of during the committee meetings in the legislature.
Yes.
And that's, you said it was going to be, they're going to be on Zoom. Will there be limits to how many people can actually be participants in the meeting?
I'm not sure, and I'm not sure of two things. I don't think there'll be any limit to the number of people who can be on the Zoom and be listed down the side maybe as a participant so that they know who's there. I don't absolutely know that. And that's actually a good question to ask Rena. I don't want to pester eGolf or Worth, but Rena Shezepansky is eGolf's top aide and is very responsive. And so I'll ask her. And and as I said earlier, I don't know how the one-pager thing is going to go, or for that matter, what I've heard is that it's going to be by lottery. Like if there was a hearing, let's say for abortion decrim, and there would be, 9,000 people on the Zoom, or if they were going to do banning guns around the roundhouse, at least it would be done by Zoom. So when the 900 armed folks got on to make comments, they'd be sitting in their living room with their automatic rifle instead of in the gallery. They obviously can't take comment from 500-600 people. But, if you've sat in committee hearings before, very often Jerry Artizzi-Pino will say, look, I'm looking for 3 people to speak in favor of it. Very often what they'll do, and they may use polling. This would be a great thing. How many of you are in support of this bill? How many of you are opposed? If it's all in favor, they don't need to take a bunch of comments, and so they'll move on. If there's some people in opposition and in favor, they'll say, okay, we're going to take 5 from each group. I don't know how they're going to prioritize that. I don't. We'll just have to play, this is a new game. I actually hope they do it this way in the future, that they at least make this possible in the future, even without COVID, because it's a way of engaging people in Las Cruces, Silver City, San Juan, that they just can't drive here, certainly not every day. Linda, you had your hand kind of up again.
I was thinking, I think you answered it though, because I was thinking about the value of having people in distant parts of our state to have access to those committee meetings.
Oh, you definitely,
But,
they're definitely going to do it. They will do it on Zoom and you will be able to be there. I just don't know. There's different frameworks for using Zoom. Some of them, I was on something today where it didn't list any of the participants. It was just a conversation out basically. And I would hope that they can govern it so that chat goes on, but you can't say anything. I mean, they don't want chaos, because if you could just unmute and start talking, they'd have a problem, not just with people who were obnoxious, but with people who didn't realize they were unmuted and they're like talking to their husband or wife, or, playing music or something, brushing their teeth. Other comments, questions about the survey, about what's next? We will do this again next Friday. This is a standing meeting. Sometimes it's really important stuff that we're talking about and we share it. And sometimes it's just conversation, finding out what's going on in the different groups. And sometimes it's also just forming community and sharing our fears and hopes. This was a really rough week. So I'd just like to thank all of you for being on, and I haven't seen any new hands going up. So it's 4:31, 4:32. Athena, did you have a question or were you waving?
Just real quick, I wanted to make a comment that when you're talking about the committee meetings, that at the very highly popular ones, I should say, highly contentious ones, when there were lots of people, oftentimes they would have sign up for comment. So it's possible they'll do something like that. If I were them, I would.
Yeah. And we'll get the lay of the land after a committee hearing or so. And different committee chairs do it differently. But we will definitely keep you posted. And we'll develop an online thing. Roxanne or I will do it with screenshots or maybe video showing you exactly how to get into the meetings and how the thing functions. But we can't do that until we, they start doing it. So thank you all. Have a good weekend. I hope some of you wind up at the Albert Bernalillo County Legislative event tomorrow, and don't come to our Zoom room. Go to somebody else's. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.